I'll start recording again.
Let's go! Let's go!
Come on, Sling TV. I need to be sponsored by Sling TV and some faster internet.
Oh my god! I'm sorry, Bill. I couldn't.
No. God, it would be Frankie.
Oh my god,
Frankie
fucking
Lindor,
Frankie!
Too.
Do you want to know what happened?
Wait! I'm seeing this. Get out! Is this another one of Oh,
holy
yeah.
shit! That would have been amazing if he would have hit it out, but still, what a fucking clutch hit! I cannot believe that.
Yeah,
I cannot believe it.
Insane.
2 strikes, 2 out, bottom of the 9th, gets an RBI.
Wow,
that is insane.
So crazy. I was hoping you were gonna say that was a attempted Carlos Santana inside the park home run, but
that was hilarious. That was. Were you watching the game?
Yeah.
He was halfway to home when the throw reached home. That's all the farther he was.
That's a move that third base coach would not make unless they did have a 20-game winning streak at the time. Yeah. Wow.
I bet that pitcher was shitting himself,
oh
Herrera. He's good too.
He is good. Yeah, he's been really good for the Royals.
All right. So anyway, we know we're at least going to extras, so we can get back into it.
So let's and gosh, we took up 30 minutes or 35 minutes there with the Indians. Let's
well, we can I guess we can kind of transition into football with what do you think is the hardest sport to go on a streak in?
Man, it's so hard to say. Some people would argue, at the same time that baseball is the easiest to go on a streak to, because you play games every day, you have that many more chances, but at the same time you have to show up every single day. I don't know. It's so hard to say. I would say probably football, because you have some teams that go 14-2 or 15-1 some seasons, but there's never a team. The Patriots. I think when the Patriots went 18-1, I think they actually went 22-0 if you only include regular season games. So they ripped off a tear there, but you never see that in football, just because guys are so competitive. Anything can happen in football. Look at the Super Bowl that they won. Literally anything can happen. So,
well, especially professional football, because in college to the same degree. They say that's why they play the game, but it's. Even last year when I think the Browns had probably arguably one of the worst teams ever. I think that's a fair argument to be made that as far as talent, they had one of the worst teams ever. I think that I don't think they were as far out of games as people led them on to be.
Right.
The final scores were typically more than 7-point games, score games, but most of the time they were in the games till the third quarter, and then the score kind of pulled away at the end, which didn't really truly depict how close of a game it was for 3 quarters. So, and that was playing one of the toughest schedules in the league, and also having one of the worst teams in the league. So,
right.
I don't know. You're probably right in saying that to go 16-0 or 18-0, but I always, you try to find similarities cross sport, I just go back to how many times it's been done in, let's say, the last 100 years. So the
Right.
Dolphins did it in the 80s. The Patriots did it in 2014 or something like that, 2012, whenever it was.
Yeah.
And like I think that's probably one of the only like kind of least common denominators that you can compare across the sports. Like how many times has it been done in
Right.
history?
Right.
And I guess by that metric, it'd probably be the UConn women's basketball team being the most impressive win streak ever. But
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, they're only competed against like themselves in terms of win streaks. Like
yeah,
when they started comparing the UConn girls' win streaks to other win streaks, the only comparison they could have was like the 1960s/70s John Wooden UCLA teams. Like that's the only comparison that they could come up with.
When we were talking about the poll that I saw today, that was the fourth thing. It was which is the most impressive: the John Wooden Bruins,
Yeah.
the UConn team, Patriots 18-0, or obviously the Indian streak. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, it's interesting. So I guess we'll see how this game plays out because we're top of the 10th now. So it's a white knuckler, that's for sure. It's been since game 1. Did you see that?
Oh my gosh, I thought that was going out. I thought that was going out.
You think Cody Allen dropped a little turd there?
Gosh, I don't know. If I was a closer coming in there, thank God this isn't Chris Perez trying to close this one up for the Indians.
Yeah, or thank God that Brian Shaw apparently isn't going to play tonight.
Yeah.
I honestly, when we were discussing who was going to give up this streak earlier, I thought for sure it was going to be Brian Shaw because he seems to. He would be the candidate, right?
Yeah, yeah. I would say him, or maybe maybe if it was last year, Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer would be the guy to like have someone put 5 runs on him in the first inning. But he's pitched really, really well this year, so he's really improved, and that's good. So no more drones.
Yeah. Alrighty. So anyway, I guess we can get into maybe some fantasy, maybe some football outlook for this week. What did you think about the first week of fantasy? Did you win? You won.
I did win. I won. Yeah, fairly big against. I played Owen. I had some decent numbers. Guys put up. I think I scored like 115 points. He just had some guys that really, really unperformed. I was gonna. How did you do? Who did you play?
I played EJ, and it was he was projected to win, but I beat him, and it was based off Leonard Fournette basically tearing it up. He had 21 and a half points, I beat him, and Odell Beckham was a late scratch. Yeah. So I was really concerned because I thought that this injury that he suffered again in the Browns preseason game on a great tackle by Brian Body Calhoun, shout out. But I thought that was going to be the difference because I was really banking on him to have 15, 20 points. And anyway, he didn't end up playing, but same thing. EJ had a couple of guys. They were pegging Le'Veon Bell to have 25 points. In the projected scores, and he ended up having like 7 because I think it was a combination of the Browns defense being much improved and the fact that he had a week of practice under his belt before he actually played. So
yeah. I mean, just looking at my lineup here, Matthew Stafford played a great game. The thing that really hurt me was that I lost David Johnson for the rest of the season.
Oh, you drafted him first overall?
I wasn't one of those. I drafted him 5th overall, but first for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a tough loss because I didn't really watch that game, I just saw that he had got 13 points. And I was like, I wonder why. Like he didn't like seem to play that much after the didn't any points after the first quarter or whatever. And to look back and see that he's. I mean, I just feel bad for him because he's a stud of a player. You know, like if
Do you know where he went to school?
I can't think of it off the top of my head. You know?
I don't. I don't. But yeah, I know that had to kill because he was the number one overall player
Right.
in almost every fantasy league. So, you know, it's a shame that that happened, not from a fantasy standpoint, but from his own standpoint, as he was probably going to have a big year had he stayed healthy. But was there any surprises for you in NFL Week 1, whether it be
Um,
players or teams
I
or?
was shocked to see the Rams score. I was honestly shocked when I saw that score. It was like 45-9 or something
How
like
bad are
that.
the Colts? Like
Well,
that.
without Andrew Luck, I mean they are just you can see how good
But
they how good he a player he is.
everyone bags on the Browns front office so bad, but it's like I, I, we are not ones to point fingers at all. But remove Andrew Luck from the Colts, and you can't tell me we wipe the floor with the Colts.
Right, right.
Like
And yeah, I
so,
mean and look at like how bad the 49ers are and they're in like really like no not as good a shape to rebuild as the Browns are right now. And they're still like, bottom same as the Jets. Like both those teams are all three of those teams, I guess, Colts, 49ers, and Jets are like in no real like you wouldn't put them in the same category as the Browns in terms of how good their rebuilding like outlook looks.
well, yeah, and that's the thing, and it just blows my mind that everyone hates Cleveland. The media loves to bag up on Cleveland because
Mm-hmm.
they're like an easy target, right? Like, and it just blows my mind because finally you look across the league and there's a couple teams that are like I feel comfortable saying that they're worse off than we are at
Yeah,
this point. I mean,
yeah,
you look at the Jets, you look at the Bills, you look at the Niners, and all along everyone was saying, like in the off season, everyone was so high on Kyle Shanahan, right? Like
mm-hmm. Right,
he's a great coach, and I agree. I like Kyle Shanahan, but they were saying, Brian Hoyer is going to do great for them, and they had this connection in Cleveland and all this stuff, and they were again saying it was a messed up situation when they were in Cleveland. They come out, and I even heard people saying that they're going to be the upset of the weekend, upsetting the Panthers,
wow,
the Carolina Panthers. And they come out, and Brian Hoyer can't move the ball to save his life. And it's like, guys, look, it's not always a Cleveland Browns thing. A lot of the times, don't get me wrong, it's a Cleveland
it's a
Browns
Cleveland
thing.
Browns thing. Yeah,
But in the last couple of years, there's no doubt been some moves that you could deem questionable, but more moves than not, I think you can say that positions us well for the future. And
yeah,
now, I mean, now we're starting to hit on some of these draft picks. They're starting to take the next step. Uh, it's exciting, and
yeah.
I saw that in a press conference this weekend or this week that Ben Roethlisberger said verbatim. He said, "quote The Browns are going to surprise a lot of people this year."
Yeah,
He said, "I'm glad we played them early,"
yeah.
and that's like. And I don't know if that's patronizing because he's like, I own the Browns basically, or if he legitimately feels that way, probably a little bit of both. But I really do. I mean, I think that we talked last week and I said that I think Deshaun Kaiser is going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you look at the other rookie QBs, Deshaun Watson came out. No one talks about how shitty Deshaun Watson looked. I mean, to
Right.
me, he looked really bad. To me,
Yeah.
he didn't look like he belonged, whereas
Yeah.
Deshaun Kaiser did. So I
Yeah. I
don't know.
mean, because they I don't know they're when you compare Deshaun Watson to Tom Savage, who he replaced, like, yeah, he's so much of a like game changer over Tom Savage, but when you replace him to like the franchise quarterbacks that he should be or he's supposed to be, contrasted it compared to like Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, like those guys. I feel like Kaiser. is much closer to the level that those guys are than Watson. Like Watson may have a more storied college career and a better story, and
Yeah.
maybe he will one day end up with a better overall game than Kaiser. But just right now, I mean, Kaiser's already like getting into the office at 5 a.m. He's one of the last guys out. Like he's already turned into one of those guys, and he just seems to his thirst for like soaking up everything that he can to learn about football and being a quarterback and being a leader is just it's like
Well,
unfathomable how it's
no,
crazy.
that's a great point. And like I read an article this week. I think something to watch in this week's game, and I saw it a little bit in last week's. Is typically when you have a rookie quarterback, you work off like a limited playbook.
Yeah,
And when you have a guy that's athletic like Deshaun Watson or Deshaun Kaiser, what you do is you roll them out a lot because and do bootlegs because then they only have to read half of the field.
right, right.
And I read an article that's and I was listening to a little bit of the Thursday night game tonight on my way back. I was driving and almost every play was a bootleg for Deshaun Watson.
Gotcha.
And it was interesting because the article I read this week was someone it was a past NFL player who had played I think 10 seasons, and he said watching the Browns game, there was no offensive scheme that was put in place that he could see to make it easier on Deshaun Kaiser. There was very few. I didn't watch every play, but there was very few rollouts or bootlegs, so that he only had to scan.
That.
It was very pocket passing esque, right? Like, yeah, he improvised here and there, and I think that speaks volumes to where he's at as a player, and where he's at on like absorbing the playbook and defensive schemes. Because if you win from the pocket, like in the NFL, you win from the pocket. You look at the best quarterbacks the last 10 years, like, and even guys who I would say are mobile, like Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston, less to a less degree, but they understand that they're going to have to win from the pocket, and then anything else is like a bonus. So. Yeah. I think we got a steal in Deshaun Kaiser in the late second round. I think he's going to be the best quarterback in that draft, no doubt.
Yeah.
He's going to be the Derek Carr. I think he's going to be the Derek Carr.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he is that good. And they're kind of in similar situations. I mean, Derek Carr did have, he has Amari Cooper, who's probably he's a better wide receiver than any of the Browns wide receivers. And I mean, Khalil Mack is just a top 5 defensive guy in the entire NFL. So we don't necessarily have exactly the same kind of parts and around him, but we're not in the same situation as Oakland. So the Browns are building to that point. And part of Kaiser's success. I don't really want to give any college coaching success award to Brian Kelly, but Notre Dame does play a pretty pro style offense. That he was brought up in, Kaiser was. So, and even it's good for mobile guys to be in the pocket because you already know that they have great footwork. I mean, guys like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, they don't necessarily, move outside of the pocket anymore, but the ability to, move field guys and move inside and outside the pocket, like, that footwork like really helps you out in the long run, being able to escape. Gosh, Jose with the slides today.
Yeah, guy's amazing. But yeah, anyway, to your point, I mean, watching Deshaun Kaiser on Sunday, it was just like he looked like somewhat of a veteran, right? Other than things like holding onto the ball too long when he was in the pocket, he looked like a natural moving in the pocket. He didn't, and I've honestly not seen that in years.
Yeah.
So,
and is he even 21 yet? Or
I think he is 21. He's the third youngest player to ever start an NFL game at quarterback.
Wow.
So, like I said, if he stays in it, I saw today, he said, look, I get in at 5 a.m. every morning. I'm in the playbook. I'm in working out. I'm in working with receivers. The only concern I have is we lack skill at the receiver position.
Right.
And I hope our inability to score or have big plays doesn't reflect badly on him, because I think I can see a season where we're handcuffed by our wide receivers because none of them can get separation and stuff like that.
Right.
And that reflecting poor on Deshaun Kaiser. So I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
But,
I think part of that is the coaches not letting the blame come fully on Kaiser, which Hugh Jackson already called out Kenny Britt for dropping passes. So he already is trying to fight for his quarterback, and I think NFL coaches are really good at, knowing who's to blame, and I don't think Kaiser should be. I mean, if he wins like 4 games this year, gosh, that would just be, if he starts all the games and wins 4 of them this year, I think that would be like a huge boost to his confidence. Just the fact that he played the Steelers so closely in his first start is really something. I mean, he does scare me as a runner. He's going to learn quickly that you just got to go down as a runner.
I couldn't agree. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, because he probably took 3 or 4 shots on Sunday that I was like, come on, man. Well, and that was one thing that bothered me about the game on Sunday is, I think when you have a young team, we're the youngest team in the NFL by, like, on average, a full year of age.
Yeah.
So our average player is like 24.6 years old or something like that. But it really bothered me that on that Ryan Shazier late hit where he slid and still got him. Yeah, Kaiser popped up, which is great, but I want to see someone get in Shazier's face. I don't care if care if it's a 15-yard penalty. Like, that's your guy.
Right.
And it upset me that's going back to the Indians. You see like how great of a team, how well they're playing as a team together. And on that side, you want to see someone, whether it be an offensive lineman, a tight end, ideally one of the few veterans we have on the team, get in his face and say, look, like, because it was such a bad hit and it was such a late hit. It was
I mean, he got flagged, but whatever. And
yeah. Like, that's what I want to see, and maybe it'll come. I mean, it's game 1, so the team is still gelling, and maybe as Kaiser earns his dues with the veterans, the few that we have on the team, and the rest of the team, that stuff will happen. But as a fan and as someone deeply invested in the Cleveland Browns, it's like you want to see them like fight
stick up for their quarterback.
Too.
Yeah, especially against
exactly.
Especially as a fan's perspective. I mean, I know that being a young team doesn't like help you out in rivalry games, but just, the Steelers, like, everyone just despises the Steelers. So as a Browns fan, so it's just like, ooh, state, ooh.
Am I delayed now?
Are you delayed now?
I don't know. Am I? Am I, Bill? What just happened?
Are you spinning? Are you buffering? I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay, there we go. Let's go.
All right, for those listening, and us just like...
Jay Bruce
just hit a walk-off single to right field. Wow, down the line. Ramirez scored from second base. Wow, oh my gosh.
Why are they taking his pants off?
Going on? I don't know. There's a giant.
No, they're not. They're just ripping. They're just ripping his jersey off.
Oh man.
Okay, so let's just back to the Indians a quick minute, because this is amazing. Number 22, Jay Bruce, a guy that we traded a single A player for. We paid $5 million
when he was on the Reds.
Yeah, we outbid the Yankees for him. We get him a month and a half ago. The guy is killing it. He loves Cleveland. Cleveland loves him. Anyway, let me just get one more shot in on this historic win streak.
Okay.
I'm pumped up right now. But earlier this week, some people from Chicago were talking shit on Cleveland being fair weather fans. Okay,
Right.
so the game for 20 was a noon game on today's Thursday. It must have been Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, it was a Tuesday. A noon game. 30,000 people showed up. Okay, I think the max capacity at Progressive Field is probably like 35 with all the standing room.
48 with standing.
Well, regardless. So anyway,
yeah, regardless of what it is.
So based on populations, I just have to get this out there that Cleveland having 30,000 people at a noon game at Progressive Field, based on populations, is like Chicago having 200,000 at a Cubs game. Now, if you divide the population of Chicago by 2, it's still the equivalent of Chicago having 100,000 people.
Yeah.
So if anyone from Chicago ever listens to this and wants to make the argument that Cleveland are fair weather fans and don't support their historic team in their win streak, then your argument is literally illegitimate.
Right.
So
and
don't make it.
I did look it up, and it is right around 35,000 for Progressive Field capacity. And it's like, not only is it a noon game, but it's school's back in session.
Yeah.
So that like drops the amount of people that can go to these games by like 40%. You know, that I don't think anyone should ever be like attendance shamed for like not selling out for some of these noon game, or I think they had like 24,000 the night before against Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you have a city of 2.5 million people, obviously 12% of your population can find their way to a game, but literally 30,000 people, and I know people are coming from all over the state for some of these games, but a lot of the people at that noon game on Tuesday were walk-ins. They were like, you know what, I'm going to buzz out from work early. This is potentially a historic day, and a lot of that was Cleveland. So anyone who wants to talk shit on Cleveland's attendance record and whether we've been supporting this team or not, we have been. Just ask the players, because every player has said in their interview that, you know, we'll support them. They've supported us. Let's go. So anyway, we can get back to football, but I had to get that out there because it pisses me off.
I know.
Anyway.
It you know, everyone wants to think that they're, you know, they're jealous. They're jealous of the win streak. They're jealous of how successful Cleveland has been. A lot of these people saying this are probably from other small towns that have, you know, MLB teams that maybe have been successful in the past, but they're not as good as Cleveland has been in the past. But yeah, let's get back to the Browns. Let's talk more specifically about the Baltimore matchup. Baltimore is going to be a tough game. I mean, their defense is good. I mean, I know they played Andy Dalton's Bengals, but their defense is good, and they always play well against the Browns.
They scare me way more than the Steelers scare me.
Yeah,
because so when I think, and like I said, I pay attention to sports. I'm not reading up on our opponents or anything like that, but I know who kind of the better players are in the league at each position. And when I think about the Steelers defense, I immediately go to Ryan Shazier. I think he's the anchor of that defense. He's an animal.
He really
besides
is,
that late hit. Yeah, besides that late hit, he's an Ohio State guy. Like, besides that late hit, I think he played. I mean, I would love to have him on our team, other than him being a little dirty.
No question.
But when I would say maybe there's one or two players that are perennial Pro Bowlers on the Steelers, right, on the defense. Then I go to this. Then I go to the Ravens, and I think Cleveland made a strong run at Tony Jefferson, the safety,
Yeah.
in the offseason,
Yeah.
and he ended up taking less money to go to the Ravens. So
Right.
that's kind of a punch to the gut. But anyway, he left. So and he was one of the top-rated safeties. Eric Weddle was a safety with the Chargers for a long time, and he tore it up. So their defensive backfield already strong aside from their corners. And then you figure in guys like Terrell Suggs, who is probably going to be like a Hall of Famer.
That he is on the Ravens this year. He had like 9 tackles last game still.
Yeah.
Still just tearing it up. At this point, just knows exactly where to be wherever he's lined up, to make a play.
Yeah, exactly. Like I hope I'm wrong, but I'm honestly I'm a little scared because I really do think that. So the difference in the Steelers game was the Steelers' biggest strength is their offense. They have Antonio Brown, they have Le'Veon Bell, they have Ben Roethlisberger, right? That's their biggest. Our biggest strength is, I think, our defense.
Yeah.
Boiling it down to simple, or our front seven, boiling it down very simple. Our biggest weakness, I would say, between offense, defense, and special teams is offense.
Right.
And the Ravens' biggest strength this year is defense. So it's kind of a completely different game than we saw last week.
Yeah, it really is.
So it'll be, Bruce knew it as soon as he hit it. That's great. But anyway, no, I'm really excited to see the game. So I could only watch it intermittently last week, but are you going to the game Saturday or Sunday? Side note.
Saturday.
Okay, so you'll be able to,
So before last week or in the after the preseason was over, pretty much everyone was on board with the Steelers to win the AFC North, but after. And maybe even, a lot of people are picking them or the Patriots to be in the AFC title game. But after watching week 1, and some people may say that, September is another preseason for guys trying to work things out and actually play official games. I don't think that they didn't look good. They need to make some changes. The Steelers do, and the Ravens looked really, really good. And that does scare me because, Mosley and Suggs and that defense could tear Kaiser apart.
4 picks from Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see, but I don't know. The line last week was 8.5. This week it's 7.5. I'm seeing 7.5, and I think the Browns historically early in the season when they play the Ravens always play them tough.
Mm-hmm.
Later in the season it's a different story, but going down there, it's an away game. I think we're going to hang tough. Hopefully Isaiah Crowell gets going. I think the run game is going to be a work in progress because all preseason the offensive line didn't play together, but we've invested a lot of money there. So I think the more snaps we take, then the better we'll get. So I think the run game will get going. I'd love to see Isaiah Crowell rush for not even 100 yards, but maybe like 75, 80 with a touchdown and maybe an average, 3 yards a carry type thing instead of 1.7 like he had last week. But bottom line, I think, is let's just be competitive, right? It's not so much. It'd be great to get a win, but it's not so much about wins and losses at this point. It's about, I think solely, it's about Kaiser finding his way. And if Kaiser looks good and he goes another 20 for 30 with 250 yards and a TD or two, he's faced 2 of the toughest defenses he's going to see all year.
Oh yeah.
So if he's able to do that again, then let's go.
Yeah, I know. I really don't see this season. Obviously, I want the Browns to win, but this season, like you said, it is more about just progressions and like if if Kaiser stays healthy and Garrett comes back and stays healthy, like it'd just be awesome to see kind of like two superstar guys on both sides of the defense or both sides of the ball, just like improving every week, every game, and then come back in 2018 and make a run for the playoffs, get a 10-6, 9-7 wild card spot or something like that. I really think if they continue to develop like this, that could be in the cards for next year, which is why I think everyone is kind of on board. Not that they're not thinking about winning games this year, but I think everyone in the front office kind of sees that the progress is for next year.
Yeah. And I think next year is the year. So, I mean, I think we have to take a jump to 5 or 6 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And next year it's going to be expected that we jump from 5 or 6 wins to 8 or 9 wins,
right,
or 9 or 10 wins. So,
right.
And I think we have the team to do it. And here's the other thing, Bill, is, I don't know what the score is of tonight's game, Deshaun Watson, the Texans, but I don't think that the Texans are going to be great this year. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
So we could potentially have 2 picks in the 5 through 15 range.
Yeah, I don't see them like being a playoff team. I mean, unless something crazy happens, I really don't see them being a playoff team.
So I mean, take this team. Let's hope that we win 5 or 6 games this year, and then you add 5 impact starters in the draft next year, because that's what you can do with 2 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. And it sounds like right now, my personal opinion is the Texans will be like kind of middle of the road picks.
Yeah.
Like add 5 impact starters to our team right now for next year, or 4 if we decide to trade something again.
Yeah.
Whether it be a wide receiver or a running back. I mean, next year's the year, but I'm obviously not giving up on this year, because I think we still have a lot of potential this year based on how we played the first game.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I was saying, I think I would love for the Browns to win some games this year, but I think everyone in the front, I mean, the tanking is over. Now it's the rebuilding, and we're done like trading all of our picks away for, future first round picks. I could see them maybe moving some of those first and second round picks, maybe for some guys, some actual guys that have performed in this year that we need to fill some spots with. So
did you watch the game Sunday?
Yeah.
Did it make you feel better or worse that we basically cut Joe Hayden? Did it make you feel better or worse about the cut?
I was indifferent about it when it first happened, but it made me feel better about it. It kind of like worked out. I think it in the end it worked out, good for both sides, because he kind of got a fresh start in Pittsburgh. He got paid. Yep. Somehow he got paid like $8 million a year, and we needed to just get rid of him. He'd been injury plagued for ever since like I can remember.
Yeah, I agree. It made me feel better too, because if he would have had, 10, but 3 or 4 pass breakups and interception and shut down one of our receivers, then I would have been like, man, maybe he still got it. But he was average, right? So I don't blame them for not spending $11 million this year on an average corner. So I love Joe Hayden. I think the world of him, because he did a lot for Cleveland, but I understand the cut. And there was reports out there of Hugh Jackson being irate about the cut, and I don't think it's accurate. He came out and said it didn't come from me, but I think it's warranted. I really do, because now the Browns are with that contract, the Browns are off the hook for that total dollar amount for this year. Yeah. And I think it's a good move, because at this point you have to look at players and say, are they going to be a part of our future? And you look
Right.
at free agent signings, you look at players they're going to retain. Really, Joe Thomas is the only guy left.
Yeah,
He's
pretty much.
and he's still playing. I think he has a favorable contract, and he's still playing at that level. So I don't think he's in any jeopardy of being moved. But
No, definitely
uh,
not.
but yeah,
Yeah, but back with Joe Hayden, they probably, came to Greg Williams and said, do he probably straight up told them whether or not he thought Joe Hayden had a reasonable shot at still improving or being better than, the next guy up. And
yeah,
so it probably all falls on his shoulders. Um, but yeah, I was kind of glad to see him go. He'd kind of been a name where every season you saw like, oh, he's healthy again, but what's going to happen? He only played 4 games last year and broke an ankle or whatever. He was kind of a guy you sort of rooted for, but it didn't really seem to make a difference because he was always
yeah,
injured
yeah,
previously. So I wish him the best in Pittsburgh. So we'll see how it goes from here.
yeah. One last thing before we go. I know we're getting towards the end. We're over by about 25
Yeah.
minutes, but did you see the article about Josh Gordon?
No.
Okay,
I
so
kind of saw maybe a screenshot of it or something, but
Josh Gordon is training with, I think it's Tim Montgomery.
okay.
So his last name is Montgomery, but he was Olympic gold medalist, world record holder, sprinter, and then he admitted to doping or taking steroids and
Yeah.
got his medal stripped.
Okay.
And then he spent 4.5 years in jail for dealing
Whoa.
heroin. And after that, he's come out and started a training facility for athletes that's basically like trying to get them away from
Like a
the
rehab
negative.
slash
Yeah, exactly.
sort of
And
something.
he's working with Josh Gordon, and they had a big article about it this week from somehow Mary Kay Cabot got the story, which not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Typically, that's false information, but she had a good story about his interaction with Josh Gordon, and he just said that naturally he's Montgomery's got to say this, but he said he thinks he's gonna be back, and he's gonna be back soon. So I hope it's the case. I mean, we'll see what happens. He said that he had a lot of resentment towards the Browns at one point in time for distancing themselves, but that could be a huge pickup down the road. I don't want to bank on it happening because he has to be reinstated, but I mean, that could be a big difference because he's a man amongst boys when he's on the field if he's in
really
shape.
is,
so.
yeah. And he did, he had some spectacular games when he played for the Browns. And the sad part about it is like he's got his problems, he's got to work those out, but I mean, the NFL has reinstated guys that have done so much worse than what he has done just with, some failed drug tests. So we'll see what happens. That is an interesting thought. I don't see Goodell reinstating him this year. Probably not. I don't know. We'll see.
Apparently he's due for release from a 90-day rehab on September 21st that he only went into to prove to the NFL that he's 100% clean. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I hate even wasting my breath with Josh Gordon because I've been so up and down about him the last 3 or 4 years that it's like it's not even worth it. But anyway, one last thing, Bill. Okay. So the line 7.5 at Ravens this week. Give me your pick. Give me player to watch, and give me one team that excites you to watch this weekend.
Okay. They covered last week. I don't think the Ravens scare me. The Ravens scare me, and even though the Bengals, Dalton had a bad performance, they're a solid team. They're probably more solid put together than the Browns are at this point. Um, I think I think the Ravens cover the spread. I think they win maybe like 24-14, which is close to the Browns, but that still allows the Ravens to um, cover the spread. Player to watch for me this week, I really want to watch Crowell. Really want to see how he does in the run because I think Giovanni Bernard only had 67 rushing yards last week or something against the Ravens, so I really want to see him break through, break for a couple long runs. There weren't too many runs like over 5 yards at all last week, so I just want to see him like have some good runs. Um, I'm excited to watch him. Um, Another game that I really would want to watch. I'm excited to see Jameis come back, and see the Tampa Bay come back from their hiatus with the hurricane. Um, can't remember who they play off the top of my head. I'm trying to pull it up real quick here. Um, they play the Bears. So not too much of really a competition for him, but I'm really excited to see him come back. I think them along with Oakland are like two really really good up and coming teams that are going to be playoff contenders for a while if they keep things together. So let's run it back with you. What are your picks for this week?
So I was originally going to take the Ravens with the spread, but since you did, I'll just take the opposite. I'll say that, it's a stretch, but I think, Kaiser impressed me the first game. I mean, the defense impressed me the first game. So, let's keep it rolling, even though we didn't win the first game. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the Browns on the spread. And mind you, the spread's 7.5. Some people have it at 9, but I think 7.5 is fair.
Yeah.
Um, the player I'm going to watch is Kenny Britt. I'm going to see how he responds.
Okay.
I think he
Yeah.
needs to have. I think he needs to have a big game after last week. He didn't do much, and he had a really crucial drop. So I'm going to watch Kenny Britt and Jabril Peppers as always.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he gets himself an interception this weekend.
Yeah.
And the
Not to
game. What's
I
that?
was gonna say not to jump in, but I think Kirksey's gonna have a. I want to watch him. See how he handles Flacco in the passing game. I know Flacco had a rough start last week, but he only ended up with like 170 yards passing. So it'd be interesting to see how those two play each other on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, it will be. And the two games I'm most interested in outside of ours truly are Packers Falcons and Lions Giants.
Ooh,
So Packers Falcons is Sunday night football. Giants Lions is Monday night football. So I was really impressed by the Lions this week.
yeah,
So I'm excited to
they've
see how they do. I'm a big Matt Stafford fan. So I hope he can get over the hump and actually compete for an NFC championship this year.
mm-hmm.
I know we talked about Golden Tate last week, and I think they have a little bit of a running game. And I really hope for Matthew Stafford's sake that they can.
Yeah,
But
they've
I also like the Packers, so
yeah.
maybe they can go 2 for out of that division, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I know Aaron Rodgers can go off at any time. I know Owen had him last week in fantasy, so I'm glad that they won, but I'm glad that he only had like 16 points in fantasy. So he's one of those guys that scares you that could go off for like 35 points any given Sunday in fantasy.
Who do you have this week in fantasy?
I play. I hate pulling things up on the fly, but
Yeah.
um,
I have Derek, Columbus Hot Sauce,
ooh,
and my bold prediction is Derek's going to win the league off an
yeah.
auto draft team that he doesn't touch the entire season.
I played Marcus. He's got 3 guys playing tonight. He's already got 24 points, so we'll see. I don't have anyone that's playing tonight. Um, but I think Marcus did pretty bad last week. So we'll see. I feel pretty confident in my team. I just got to figure out the right guys to play. Obviously, I left Mike Gillisley on the bench last week, which was a big 22 points. Even though I still beat Owen, but it's always a shame to see those guys just sit on the bench. So
I had Tyreek Hill on my bench, so I feel you. I feel you there.
Yeah. I know it'll be a fun season. I don't know if EJ already seemed to be talking about not caring before the season even started. So the fact that he lost week 1 doesn't show high hopes for him continuing to care the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But
alrighty, so we got Browns. We got Browns at Ravens. You're taking the Ravens.
Got the Ravens plus 7.5. Yep.
I'm taking the Browns by default. But anyway, look forward to it. Bill's been great. I'll see you next week.
22, the streak continues. So and the podcast streak continues. Week 2 for us. So both streaks. All right.
Perfect. All righty, buddy. I will talk to you later.
All right. See you, Michael.
Out.
Bye.